Now we're going to try to talk about how we will demo the navigation into the platform so that we can actually locate the services that we have identified and any add-on services that is associated with that.
Welcome to the demonstration one after we've discussed about the features of the platform. And now we want to navigate through the Adobe Experience Platform user interface. When you successfully log in into the interface, you will be launching the landing page of the platform. And in the middle of the screen, you will see a welcome message with your name. And on the top right hand side here in the title bar, you will find the name of the Adobe Experience Platform organization instance that you are logged in. Right now it's showing that I'm logged in into the ADLS VLab Platform US instance, and it's a production instance. And in the middle of the workspace, there is a summary of the Experience Platform objects. Here it's telling me that I have about 443 total number of data sets within the organizational instance for AEP, the number of profiles that are part of the audience, the segments that I've created, and the destinations that have been configured in this instance. To the left of my screen is the workspaces that encapsulates the individual features that we've mentioned in the first module. Below the homepage is the workflow workspace. And encapsulated in this workspace are two features. One is the data ingestion method, and two, models associated with the data science workspace. Below the data ingestion method is the ability to do a batch ingestion of a file of the type CSV that will then translate or transform it into the standardized version. So if, for example, I click on map CSV, and on the right hand side, I will see a launch button. And when I click on it, it will gives me the wizard. And in the wizard, it will give me the opportunity to decide whether I want to ingest the data of a CSV format into an existing data set, or I want to create a new data set. You will also see that it gives me the opportunity to select the existing data set if I choose to use that, and what error diagnostics or partial ingestion method that I want. It also enables me to define the name of the data flow and any alerts associated with my data flow. The second step is to choose the actual data source whose information we want to ingest into the platform. And the third step is to do the mapping. In this case, we are not going to do this because it's a simple navigation. So I'm going to go ahead on the top right hand side and cancel that. There are other ways by which you could also ingest data from the the connections. We're going to talk about that. The second feature that we want to talk about is the connections. And the connection out of the box, if you have the AEP activation, you get a source connector. So if I expand the connections workspace, you can see that I have sources. And when I click on the success sections, it gives me a catalog, including the categories of applications that can serve as a source whose information we want to ingest into the platform. Now you can see that it's categorized into Adobe application types. Remember, we said the platform is an open data platform that allows you to ingest both Adobe and non-Adobe data into the repository within the platform. So here's an example where we could see that Adobe Analytics, Adobe Audience Manager, the customer attributes, the Experience Platform Launch, and Marketo can be used to bring in data into the platform. You can see other categories as well, including advertising, which is purely not Adobe. You could also see cloud storage that allows you to bring in data from those sources. You can see CRM applications, including Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce, and the other two are in beta form right now. You could also ingest data from customer success, including Salesforce Cloud and ServiceNow. any database whose information you want to ingest and standardize within the platform to create a single unified view of the customer profile. We do support the e-commerce, which is Shopify. The alternative way of bringing in a batch data rather than use a workspace, which only supports CSV, is to choose the local system file. With the local system file, you are able to uh, upload local file of a delimited type, not just a CSV. It could become a separated value. It could also be a tab delimited value. So it gives you the flexibility that the workflow workspace file ingestion does not give you. We also have some marketing automation, which allows you to bring in data from HubSpot and Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We have payment type, which primarily is on PayPal. We have the protocols and also gives you the ability to do a streaming ingestion using the streaming HTTP API connections into the platform. So these here defines, in addition to the workflow, the means by which you can actually ingest data into the platform. The second category of the connections is the destination. You only get the destination, as I said, if only you have a subscription to the real-time customer data platform application service. So in this case, if you click the destination provides you an integrated built-in tools by which you can actually export data from the platform to a destination application of your choice based on your subscription. Just like we have categories for sources, we also have categories for destination connections. So if you click on catalog, once you click on catalog, you can see the two categories, the connections and the extensions. We're going to talk more about this. And you can also see that it is actually categorized for Adobe, non-Adobe sources as well. So that is what the connection workspace allows you to either bring in data into the platform or export data out of the platform. The other features that are also encapsulated here, if you recall, we said we have two repositories, one the data lake, and the second one is the customer real-time customer profile data store, which is the unified profile store. And those can be found under the customer workspace. So if you go to customer workspace, you can see that you could find profiles. This leads you into the profile data store, and it shows you the collection of schemas that are contributing to the structure for both the XDM individual profile, the record data type, or the experience data type. You could browse for specific records, and to do that, you have to indicate the identity namespace. So for instance, if I decide that I'm going to search for an identity namespace based on email, I have to type email, and once I select that, it gives me the ability to ingest, to view the specific email value, and I can do that. I'm not going to go into this particularly right now. We will get the opportunity to do that in the subsequent ones. Under the customer, in addition to accessing the profile data store, you can also see the list of segments, and it also gives you the ability to create your own segments. The last element of that is the identity namespace, which is where anytime your data schema is being created, there should be an existing identity namespace that you can map to the identity fields, and this is where you can find them. You can browse through them, or if you are a data engineer or data architect, you have the ability to create a new identity namespace. So that's the customer workspace. If you don't have the real-time CDP B2B version, you will not find the account option here. So we can just keep that for now. We did also talk about privacy services. And when you click on the privacy workspace, you will find that you have the ability to look at all the policies, which also maps to the associated labels for data usage labeling and enforcement, defining the type of marketing actions that you can perform. And we'll come back to this later on. There are out of the box ones that you can see. Anything created by Adobe means it's out of the box. Anything that you need to actually create by custom ones, you can also create that if you have the permission to do so. We will return back to the data governance later on, but this is where you find those little things there. There's also the data science workspace that provides for predictive modeling using the AI. So when you click on data science, you find a notebook which encapsulates the Jupyter Lab notebook, a web UI that allows us to train, to score, evaluate, and make some recommendations as well. So we will return that. We are not covering that as part of this training. There's the data management, which is one of the core things that we talked about in terms of standardization, schemas that are out of the box, schemas that you create on your own, data sets that are derived from the schemas, and the ability to gain insight doing queries. These are all encapsulated into data management. If you have a subscription to Alpha Decisioning, and you have been your platform has been enabled for that, then you will see a workspace called the decision management. So if I expand decision management, it gives me the ability to then create offers and send out an offer, also press an offer. And this you can only see if you have offer decision and subscription, which is one of the application services that we talked about. Lastly, if you're an administrator, you have the ability to see the sandboxes and also configure alerts. Since we are not administrators, I'm going to skip that for now. So that's about the core features and one of the application services that you can see as a workspace. The other application services, which include the journey orchestration as well as the customer journey analytics, can only be seen by going to the top right hand side and clicking on the application switcher, which is the 9 dots. And if you have a subscription to them, you can see that we have access to the customer journey analytics, and we also have access to journey orchestration, which means we have a subscription and they have been enabled on the platform. So if I click, for example, on the journey orchestration, it loads the journey orchestration user interface for me for building journeys, examining journeys, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go back into the application switcher or service switcher, and I'm going to go back into selecting customer journey analytics. And also, depending on my user permissions and profile, I will then be exposed to the customer journey analytics user interface. I will finally go back into the application and service switcher again, and I will go back into my experience platform. That actually concludes the quick navigation of the platform UI, introducing you to the features that are encapsulated into the workflow workspace, the connection workspace, the customer workspace, the privacy workspace, the data science workspace, the data management workspace, and the administration workspace, as well as all application services that are included in the platform.